The happy couples are at home, like chilling out and relaxing, and the bad couples are online, blowing up about it and exploding. You're getting all the clicks on the reality shows.
And so I started saying, I'm going to be aggressively myself, and I'm just going to attract whoever that attracts.
I found that very sexy. I've got to be honest. I was an adult. I had a very hot teacher in front of me, and so I was very intrigued. 8 years later, I was just like, I was profoundly unhappy, and I didn't say anything. I never told him. And it came to one day where I said, you are now officially about to damage our marriage. That was the...
She said, you are damaging our marriage.
Wow. Have you ever seen a healthy, loving marriage? Do you even know what that would look like? I have to ask that because in the modern world, most people have never seen a functioning bond between a man and a woman who work seamlessly as a team. You've heard me talk for years about the CEO and COO marriage model, about how men and women are designed to fit together successfully, and most importantly, why we're never actually in competition. But again, most of this has been theory for you up until now. The reason for that is because most happy, successful marriages happen behind closed doors. They're not even on the internet talking. They're off having fun together. Most of the time, we give all the attention to the worst possible couples on the planet. And many of you now, by research, grew up in marriages and families that were not healthy or successful. If that's been you up till now, this episode will change everything. I have Tom and Lisa Bilyeu here, a most powerful, successful couple, people I've been waiting to talk to for a very long time so I can bring their marriage story to light for you. You need to see this episode if you've ever wondered what it looks like between a man and a woman when they truly love each other. Lisa and Tom, it is so good to see you guys. It's my first time meeting you and my third time meeting you. It feels like I've known you forever by this point.
I know, it does.
You are one of the most legitimate human beings I think I've ever met in my life. I've met so many people in this industry, and you know that you don't always get the real person behind the scenes. You are the same person behind the camera as in front of the camera.
Oh, thank you.
So,
I will receive that compliment.
Thank you. Glad to have you guys here. I want to talk to you guys today because my audience they are starving for stories of good marriages. They're starving for stories of couples that actually love each other, that can actually work together, that can achieve things together. Most of them, they've heard me talk about attachment theory and science and all of that together about how theoretically couples are supposed to work as a team, but they haven't really seen it. They haven't seen it in their families. They didn't see it in their parents. They've never really seen a functioning, actually working relationship, especially with a masculine-feminine dynamic. And when I met you, and I heard all the stories. This woman glows when she talks about you. Like you rarely hear a wife talk about her husband the way she does about you behind your back. So
she is extraordinarily kind.
It's incredible. The loyalty and the love and the adoration. I knew I had to get you guys on to show you as a model because I don't think anybody talks about or shows happy couples, loving couples anymore. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's interesting. Maybe not good for clicks. That's the problem.
It's really not. The happy couples are at home, like chilling out and relaxing and drinking tea together.
Enjoying each other's time.
Right. And the bad couples are online, blowing up about it and exploding. You're getting all the clicks on the reality shows because it's just how our world works right now. So we're going to reverse that. I want to hear first the origin story of you two because it's phenomenal. You guys go from like everyday humans on the street kind of thing and built an incredible empire. I want to hear the origin story of you guys first. Can you tell everybody at home that story?
Yeah, you want me to tell?
Baby, yeah.
Okay, I'll speed run it and then
when I need to.
Fair, very fair. If there's anything you want to go deeper on, obviously we can. So at the time that I met her, I did not think that I was going to get married. So that's interesting context. I was very bad with women growing up. I had no idea how to be successful. And I would show up to the first date with flowers and a poem, true, custom written for that woman, and was just shocked that I was never able to be successful with that strategy. And finally, through just encountering life, had finally realized what it took. And I'll sum it up by saying confidence, but if you think of it more as a willingness to walk away. And so I started saying, I'm going to be aggressively myself, and I'm just going to attract whoever that attracts. And that was when she came into my life. And it really was, it's a Me Too story these days, but at the time that it happened, it felt very normal. But I was teaching filmmaking and she was one of my students. This is a school for adults. So she came after college to the US. I was only a couple years out of college and was teaching. And so it was something I was deeply passionate about. She was passionate about. And so we saw each other at our best, which I think is a big part of it. And then there's, the power dynamic of I'm the teacher. And so that lent a little extra air of credibility. And so
I found that very sexy. I've got to be honest.
I was going to say.
Yeah, I was an adult. I had a very hot teacher in front of me. He was extremely talented because he played his movie. So I'm turned on by talent. And so I was very intrigued. And he had an air of confidence where he wasn't giving me a second glance. And when a woman gets rejected, it actually sadly makes you more interested. And I was just young enough that I was like, I can't believe he's not even looking at me. He's not even giving me the eye. And his context was he just built his confidence. My context was I just split up from a guy who was very mean, very cruel. I was in a relationship with him for almost 4 years, and I just had built my confidence being away from him for a year. So here I was seeing this hot teacher going, why not just have a hot fling? Like, it's not a big deal. Again, before Me Too.
Yeah. And so I think both of us had that sense of like, well, this is going to be, it's literally temporary by definition because she's on a student visa. She's going to have to leave. And so I thought, oh, this is perfect. She is legally obligated to leave the country and I can, have a fling and this would be great. And I literally, the great irony is I hit on exactly one student in my entire life and I ended up marrying her. So this was not like something, I was not a playboy at all, which I think really surprised her because she kind of expected that that's what I was. Not at all. And, but we both thought in the beginning that, well, this isn't going anywhere. I had already established a belief I needed to be aggressively myself and that would attract whoever it attracted. And so when we went on our first date, it was electric. And we were both just being who we really were and having an absolute ball.
Because we weren't trying to put on airs and graces. There was no element of, I want to get the man, therefore I have to be demure. Like all the things that I was before that, or that I'd been taught that you should be on a first date. I was like, I just want this hot fling with this American guy because when I'm in my 90s and I've got grandkids, I'm going to tell them about the one time that I had this crazy wild trip in America and met this one guy. So the thing of trying to be the perfect woman, I didn't even consider. So here I was on the date with this guy and he was being aggressively himself. I was receiving it because I was like fascinated. And him being aggressively himself means he was very curious. So he asked me 2 questions that I still remember to this day. This was 25 years ago, Adam. And he asked me 2 questions that made me just fall in love with him even more. Number 1 was, why do I believe in God?
Now, not out of the blue. Let's keep that in
It's
mind.
on
It
the
came
debate.
up.
Yes.
It's not like, okay, let me go down my most controversial questions.
Yeah, no,
It
we
was
were
just
in discussion.
Yeah.
No one had ever actually asked me a question like that, like a deep wanting to understand where I came from for my belief system. And I was like, I don't know why I believe in God. And so it brought up the curiosity. And then again, during conversation, he turns around and was like, oh, do you watch porn? I was like, I can't believe you just mentioned porn on our first date. What man does this? But because I wasn't used to a guy just asking, the fact that he was curious made me even more curious about him.
You stumbled onto the absolute most attractive thing, which is to just be honest human beings.
Yeah, it was great. And then she refused to put out on the first date.
Good.
And so
Because I heard the rule, if you put out on the first date, you don't get a second date. Well, we had spoken about right before, me and you, Adam, about like you try to get the guy, therefore you try to do the things that you think he wants in order to keep you. And so I just was like, okay, if I get a second date, because I've got another 3 weeks in LA, like, great, I'd love to date him. I can't sleep with him on the first date. So I just had the rule. I had the hairy legs, Adam, just in case I felt sexual attraction to him. I was like, Lisa, you will never sleep with him if you've got hairy legs. So I kept my legs hairy.
I love it. Fantastic. From there, the story gets very interesting.
Yeah, so think she's going to be leaving and well, she is leaving. And that then ends up being a trauma. And I think, okay, I had saved up money and time off. I was considering moving to New York at the time. And I said, okay, instead of doing that, I'm going to come see you in London. And went to London, another extraordinary trip. And I think in London, it was really when like reality was setting in, and it was better than when it was sort of this mythological thing back in LA. And so I'm flying home and I realize, I'm in love with her. And so I had never been in love, still to this day. She's the only person I've told in a romantic context that I love you. And so it was like being struck by lightning. And from that moment on, it became almost like a logistical battle because she's living in London. I'm now in LA. The thing that I thought was working for me when I thought that this was largely a physical endeavor is now working aggressively against me. And so it's one of those where I don't believe in fate, but man, if we took the time to map out all the beats that had to happen for us to end up together, it is crazy. I mean, some of them are so absurd. Like I had a friend who, when we were trying to figure out a way for her to come here, because she wasn't willing to stay with me. She's like, this could go badly. I need my own place.
Moving to America after knowing a guy for 3 months and relying on him to be a good guy and moving in with him, I had to protect myself because I'm my ex-boyfriend.
Smart.
So I want you to imagine like that bubble above her head of dialogue saying, the only way I can come is if I can find a place to stay. The bubble is still there. And a good friend of mine walked in who lived walking distance from my apartment. And he's like, man, I'm going to be gone for like the literal exact period that your girlfriend wants to come because she has a job offer. But I don't have anybody to take my apartment. And I'm like, what? So I'm like, bro, my girlfriend is coming. This would be incredible. And he's like, yeah, perfect. That is one of many.
But do you think that that's RAS, like reticular activating system, where it's like because we were looking for solutions, we found solutions?
I mean, sure, if you want to ground it in, of course, like be open and all that. That's why I say ultimately I don't believe in fate, but there were so many times where things we took advantage of, we were smart enough to be paying attention, but it's really pretty wild.
But a lot of people, at least for me and you, there was no hesitation.
Nice.
Every time we were talking about how we're going to get together next time, what's the plan?
You knew.
There was no hesitation on his end, no hesitation on mine. And there was no idea of, can we make this happen? It was, we're going to make this happen. So how are we going to make it happen? And so I think that was a big key. And this was definitely before social media. So you have to remember, we're writing emails to each other. There's no text messaging. There's no FaceTime. So I'm writing an email to him. By the time he gets it at his work with the time difference, it's like 24 hours, like pigeon mail. But we made it work because we were like, we love each other. We want to be with each other. And so now it's a matter of what obstacles are in our way and how are we going to overcome them. I think if we had doubt, we would have either sensed it with each other, then the other person doesn't make as much effort, and then you end up spiraling down.
This is incredible. There's a bonding hormone you guys know about called vasopressin.
Oh, yes.
And it activates when we overcome challenges together. And you guys had that day one for you guys. It's building together. I find it funny that Tom Bilyeu had to save money to go see a girl in London.
Yeah,
that's a funny part of that story for me.
He borrowed his mum's pink suitcase because he didn't even have
with
his
no
own
wheels,
suitcase.
by the way.
Yeah, it was one of those old ones that you have to carry.
We are old, or I'm old. My wife is at least a couple of years younger than me, but it is very funny. So the thing people have to understand about Lisa is she's an insane gold digger. The
I just waited 25 years.
The catch is she was willing to invest for 10 years. I made this woman poor for 10 years. So it makes us laugh when people are like, oh my gosh, she's with him for his money. It's like, First of all, we built it together. And then when we got together, I was broke.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was, she had me on the layaway plan to get wealthy. It's hysterical.
That is fantastic. People ask me about my wife all like, did she marry you for your money? I said, buddy, and they asked, did you have a prenup? When we got together, I owned a bottle of mustard. Yeah. Like that was it. Like, what are you going to do? Split that? Like it's amazing when you find someone who joins you and they're loyal to that degree. And people assume that they're not.
No doubt.
Now you guys built from there an incredible company, an incredible empire. I was shocked when I actually met you. I didn't know about that. I knew you had a health food company. I didn't know it was Quest. Like my wife and I have been eating that. Like, and she's like, Adam, this is the best stuff on the market. This will help us. And I'm like, okay. And I met you guys and I'm here and I'm like, why do they have Quest stuff everywhere? I knew the health stuff.
Oh, that's so funny.
And then it clicked for me. That's the company. Like, that's incredible. It revolutionized the protein industry, the health food industry, eating clean. My wife uses it as the absolute metric standard of like good, clean, healthy food in our home for if you need to pack in the protein, you need something on the go, we feed it to our kids. Like it is the thing. You guys changed the entire industry about how to eat clean protein like that. So thank you, number one.
Truly a pleasure.
But That's a massive challenge for a married couple to go through. There are so many things I have to assume happen along the way for that to work for you guys.
Yeah.
You start here and then you grow this and you build this thing. Strain, right?
It stemmed from strain, and it actually was our relief, I think. So we were trying to make movies. I went to film school. He went to film school, came to America, film school, met him. He was my teacher. And so we're like, we want to make movies. But we'd both had really bad experiences on film sets. So Tom was like, babe, if we actually have our own resources, then we can actually control the art.
Nice.
So, okay, well, how do we control the resources? I guess we just got to make money. So that kind of went on a whole journey for 8 years of chasing money. But I was miserable. And as a good Greek wife that I was told that I should be, I was like, well, you just support your husband. You don't speak up when you're miserable. As long as he's happy and as long as he's driven on his path, you be the good supportive wife. So he would say, babe, I just need another 18 months. I just need another 18 months. 8 years later, I was profoundly unhappy. And I didn't say anything. I never told him. And it came to one day where I said, you're not even happy. You come home every single day, babe. You tell me not to ask you about work. What the hell are we doing? You are now officially about to damage our marriage. That was the word.
She said, you are damaging our marriage.
You are damaging our marriage.
Yes.
And see, he remembers it because it hit him that hard.
Good.
I've never said that. So you can imagine a wife that's been very supportive then turns around and says it. And I wasn't whiny about it. I just said it very clear. And he immediately was like, all right, you've now pulled the ripcord, if you will, and I will act in accordance because you've never once spoken up. And that actually then began the idea of Quest Nutrition.
You know what kills me about that? You started the first date being raw, brutally honest. And then you did what most women do. When it starts to go good, you go silent and almost lie for 8 years and say, no, I'm happy, it's fine.
What's interesting about it, though, is that she was honest always about everything. And so I think part of it is, okay, I can endure, because it wasn't like it was just complete silence and we weren't communicating anymore. It was, I just need 18 months. The 18 months turns into, okay, just, I know that this is a bit frustrating. I know this isn't ideal, but give me another 18 months. And so it has a little bit of a boil the frog thing where she's like, okay, I can endure. Okay, I can do another session. I love my husband. I don't want to complain. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So it wasn't like I thought, oh, everything is perfect and this is like exactly where we want to be. It was just like, listen, we have a plan. Let's stick to the plan. And so when she said, you're now damaging the marriage, I wasn't like, where is this coming from?
Okay.
I was like, yeah, I've been kind of like hanging on by my fingertips, waiting for something. And we had established this is one thing we're very good at. We know what the other person isn't good at and what the other person is good at. I will grind until I'm in the hospital. And I've always said, listen, our marriage is my number one priority, but it doesn't always mean it's the thing that gets the most time. It just means if there's ever a breaking point, I'm going to trust you to see it before I do. Speak up and I'll respond. And so it was like a magic phrase for her to say, okay, you're now damaging the marriage, because she gave a whole speech, which is pretty important. And I was becoming, I won't say depressed, but I was really in a dark place. And the reason I was telling her not to ask about my day was because I was so unhappy. And so I'm trying to come home and shift into a different mood. And if you ask me about what I'm doing all day, I'm just back in that sort of darkness. So I'm like, I'm trying to just be with you and levity and like my old self and all of that. And so her speech was like, you're starting to get hard. It's not like, that isn't fun. The playful version of you is disappearing. You're not even engaging with me about one of the most important aspects of your life, which is your work. This is now damaging the marriage. And so then I was like, whoa, okay, cool. Hit the brakes. Let's think about what the next move is.
I love that. This is that model that I teach, the CEO, COO model. You're operating as the chief operations officer. Okay, CEO, you are now damaging the status quo of our company. And he received it perfectly. Amazing.
And something to what you say a lot is the permission. So he'd given me permission to always pull that ripcord and say it when and if needed. And because I didn't ever do it, again, it became very important. He didn't push back. I felt like it was received. So then we could work together. Going back to the collective goal, we could work together to figure out how we're going to get out of it.
That is so fantastic. I love this. You guys are working together great.
Yeah, you use words that I really hope people hear. Like, we operate as a partnership.
Mhm.
If you want to understand us, if you understand business, if you want to understand us, I'm the CEO, she's the COO. And it's a dynamic we see repeat in the real world a lot, where when husbands and wives work together, they have that same dynamic. Not just that one is CEO and one is COO, that it's so often the man is CEO and the woman is COO. It's wild. And
The
so
one time we've actually seen it flip, the marriage ended.
Mhm.
And it was partly due to that.
Mhm.
Like, she wanted to lead. It was her company, but
Mhm.
then she gave it over to him to then lead. And then she
Mhm.
wasn't happy with how he was leading.
Mhm.
And so they ended up in divorce.
Mhm.
yeah. So it's very fascinating. And I really mourn for culture these days because they don't understand how potent it is to find a partner. And this, I don't know your audience well enough to know if this is going to land or they're going to hate me for this.
Do
but I look at it from an evolutionary perspective.
Yep.
So evolution has forever been able to assume that men and women would work together to raise a child.
Correct.
And so it was like, oh, cool. I don't need either one of you to have the whole puzzle. I'm going to put you guys together. Together, you're going to have the whole puzzle. And I'm going to nest you in a larger society as well. And so it's like we finding each other, for me in my mid-20s, for her early 20s, it was like we've developed, like literally the brain doesn't stop developing until you're 25. So it's like my brain was developing when I met her. Hers was developing. And so the way that I've always summed it up is I don't want to know who I would have become had I never met her, because she shaped me in these really profound ways. And that is like somehow getting lost in culture, where people aren't stopping and taking the time to say, I'm going to find somebody. I want to do this with somebody. And then on top of that, they're not getting armed with the skills to navigate it well.
Correct.
And so I'm just like, it's not that people can't have extraordinary lives single. They can, and many people do. You're just putting life on extra hard mode.
It is. It's absolutely. I know men and women today seem more afraid of each other than ever, but we're meant to be
Yes.
symbiotic creatures.
Yes.
We're one half of a whole. And yes, you can be a whole person, but I don't know what you'll think about this, but a human being, an individual, is not the smallest unit of humanity. That's a little bit like a wolf, right? You don't have a single wolf that thrives and lives and grows and builds a pack. It's the structure. The entire group is actually the smallest unit. I think the family is the smallest unit, actually. Family being husband and wife or kids or whatever it is, but the family is the smallest unit of what we're supposed to be together, the male and female at least. I don't think we work well apart.
It's interesting. If you want to completely destroy somebody's literal sanity, and I mean sanity, if you want to destroy their sanity, isolate them.
100%.
So there's something about the brain, it actually can't do well on its own. It's very strange. I've never understood why that's true. I get why it would be suboptimal. I don't understand why it destroys people's sanity. That's really shocking to me. But
Sanity is a
nonetheless,
fascinating piece. I know the oxytocin loss drains down to zero. Your GABA diminishes. Your cortisol is unregulated. Your body goes into a short-term survival, destroys long-term. But yeah, the sanity piece, like we are relational beings
yeah,
first
people
and
will
foremost.
start hallucinating, all
Yes.
kinds of stuff. It's very weird.
You need other things to talk to, and you'll split your personality, even if you have to. I think of the movie Castaway with Wilson and everything, of course. But that's realistic. I used to work in correctional facilities, and one of the worst punishments imaginable was solitary confinement.
Correct.
And they would do anything they could to get any kind of connection with a human being outside the cell. Just anything,
It's wild.
even negative attention. Anything was better than being alone inside that room. It's hell. So 100%, and especially male and female, we need each other. We will grind to death and then wonder what the purpose was, or we will long for some kind of connection and wonder where we fit in. We're meant to lock in. You guys found each other, and that's wonderful. And that's, I think, why you've been so successful.
I agree wholeheartedly.
I know for many of you, while you're listening to this sounds like an impossible sort of relationship to build. You're listening to the conversations they've been having, the way that they've been bonding and growing and just confronting challenges head on. For many of you, that sounds impossible. The problem there is that most of you have never learned the proper skills. Your family didn't teach you that growing up. You haven't lived it. You haven't felt it. So you probably can barely even believe it's possible. For all of you, I have the exact fix you've been waiting for. April 23rd to the 26th, down in San Diego, I'll be running an in-person training. I call it a retreat, but don't come prepared to relax and lounge on a beach. This is an intense training program for days down there with me and my certified coaches, where we will show you exactly how to have these core conversations that transform your relationship from broken and separated and cold and isolated into bonded, unified, and really thriving together as a couple. If you're ready to transform your relationship, or if you're an individual and you're not in a relationship yet, but you've always wanted to know how to build one, and you're ready to master those skills together in person and have your breakthrough, this is your invitation. Make sure you click the link down in the description or the show notes, or go to adamlanesmith.com and click on the retreat tab. We are ready to talk with you about how you can achieve your breakthrough together in person in San Diego. Don't delay. Tickets are selling out fast, and it's a very small, intimate gathering. I will not allow too many people in because I want to be able to work with you. Join us, and let's get back to the conversation. Tell me about any kind of power struggles you guys might have had early on.
It's the biggest rift in our marriage ever. Well, it's interesting because you and I clock the hardest part of our marriage differently.
We do, which is interesting.
That is
I don't
interesting.
know if you've had
Well,
that before.
It's the most like masculine, feminine thing ever.
It's
because
for me, it was when you were going through a hard time.
Yes.
It was the hardest for me.
Yes.
And then for you, it was when I was going through the hard time.
no, it was when you were becoming masculine.
Oh, sorry,
And
you're
that's when I was
right.
like,
Oh,
you
you're
better
right. Okay, yeah.
recognize
Okay,
this is
so-
creating a problem.
So let's talk about your one first then, because that happened first. It was when we were building Quest.
Oh,
So-
well, recently you said that the hardest time you'd had, and maybe I'm misremembering, but was when I was working 120 hours a week.
Yeah, so I became
That wasn't at
masculine.
Quest, that was here.
Correct. So I'm
Oh,
saying
oh, I see what you're saying. The thing I had a
we can
beef
cut all
with.
of that. Yes.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So one of the biggest first things I think that happened was as we were building Quest. So I go from the stay-at-home wife. He turns around. He's like, "I want to start this protein bar company. Do you mind helping?" As a good Greek wife, I was like, "Of course. What do you need me to do?" The company grew at 57,000%. So it goes from basically 0 to $1 billion within 5 years. And so I go from shipping bars on my living room floor, literally walking to the post office and just mailing them in the box, to then crates and trucks and millions dollars worth of inventory in just 2 years. So from a trajectory and a change from what I was doing on a day-to-day, I went from literally being the boss of my 2 little dogs and going to the gym every day, and that was my life, to then our first facility was in Compton, and we put a call out in the streets that we didn't care if you come from if you have a criminal background. We just care if you're willing to work hard. So we had a lot of people that were ex-convicts. So now here I am building the shipping department of Quest Nutrition. I have 40 employees and half of them are hard. Ex-convicts with tats and teardrop tattoos, like the whole shebang. And I'm 5'1" Brit. I didn't bloody know how to lead. So all I do is go, well, I guess they've just got to fear you and you just got to shout louder, right? I come from a Greek family. I'm very good at shouting. So just go in and be very dominant. Don't get pushed around, Lisa. And unfortunately, sometimes it worked. Now, what happened was I was building my self-esteem on being able to be the one that doesn't get pushed around.
Yeah.
I ended up bringing that home.
Oh, no.
So it got to a point where he very politely pulled me aside and said, I understand why you're getting hard. Like, you've had to transition into being a boss that you've never been, with these really hard guys that will walk all over you. I get it. The problem is you're bringing it home. And I am not interested in being married to a man. And
Well put.
Well, I also said, look, I'm not going to fight for control.
Oh,
So
yeah.
if
Ooh.
you want to be in a battle with somebody for control, this is not going to end well, because I'm not going to back down.
I like
And
this.
so this is going to escalate and escalate and escalate. And that doesn't sound fun to me. So you need to decide. You need to be the person you want to be. And I'm here to support whatever you want to be. But there are limits to the kind of person that I'm willing to be married to. And so it was like a proper crisis. Like, this was, I'm not going to keep doing this, where everything was a battle, everything was a fight. And that's not an enjoyable way to live. And so we basically, she
But at
needed
the
to
time,
take time to think about.
yeah, because I was building my self-esteem and I felt good about it. So here I was going, he wants me to be less than I'm becoming.
Oh.
And so that's where I was pushing back. So we were kind of a bit of battle, but you were very clear. So I think that was very helpful. He wasn't like, I don't like it. He was like, this isn't going to work. Like, I love your softness. I love it when you come home and you're cuddly and that sort of thing. So, so because he was very honest, I had to go back and go, okay, I actually do like being soft around him, but I do like being a freaking badass at work.
And here is a very difficult reality that has to be faced, where navigating a marriage stops being about a show and starts being about real life. Women date over or up. It's known as hypergamy. And I said to her, listen, you have to decide if you still think I'm the right person to follow. Because if I'm not, if you're the person who should be leading this family, then that's rough, but we're going to have to face that. And the problem is, if that has become true, this is my exit ramp. This is not where I back down and just go, okay, cool, like you take the lead. So you've got to decide, like, are you feeling your oats? And it's like, you realize like, oh, wow, I have a lot more power than I thought I did. And so I now have a leadership gear. And is it that you want to live in that leadership gear and you want a man that's going to follow you? Is it that you believe, oh, I have a leadership gear and I'll use that when that's appropriate? And by the way, in our marriage, there are times where she's the right person to listen to, and I'm never going to fight that. If she's better at something and we're in her area of expertise, I don't have a problem following her. 100%. I think the greatest leaders are willing to fall in line when it's like, cool, this person gets this thing better than I do. But at the same time, there is a general sense of like, all right, who's setting the strategy here? And that's where there was like all this friction. And thankfully, even in the moment when it was all heightened and everything, we were able to talk like this. So it was like, hey, I get it. You've got a new gear. That gear is awesome. And by the way, you're extraordinarily good at your job. I don't want to take that away from you. You're stepping into being a full-blown entrepreneur in your own right. That's incredible. But we have to be able to separate the dynamic between us as husband and wife and us in the office. Because in the office, there's an understanding. I'm setting strategy. I'm setting the course. We don't have the friction that we then have when we come home. And so it's like, you've somehow been able to line up that in the context of the business, it makes sense to follow me. But now at home, we're having these weird conflicts. So you need to think through that. And if I'm no longer the person to follow, it would be miserable to be in a marriage where you're slowing down so I can lead. That's a horrible place. And I'm not going to slow down so you can lead. So you've got to answer that question for yourself. Obviously, I believe I'm still the right person, but I can't answer that for you. And so you're going to have to like sit with that. And so, I mean, obviously we're still here many, many years later. So we found that path. But I remember in that moment, once we were on the other side, I was like, most people are not going to be able to get through something like that. They won't understand themselves. They won't understand the other person. They won't understand the options.
Well, I think that there was multiple things that happened though in that dynamic that allowed us to communicate. We didn't get heated. It wasn't an emotional thing. He very much articulated his position. He articulated the fact that he understood how I got there. He wasn't blaming, like, I can't believe you're not the same person. So I felt seen, like, I understand this. He put in a boundary, and I actually respect when a man has a backbone. So he put in a boundary saying, this is what I'm willing to do and this is what I'm not. And he gave me the grace to go, you need to think about what you want. And because we'd spoken about it and articulated it, I didn't feel like I was being pushed into a corner or being bullied or anything like that. And then it started to shape the way that I thought about women in general. And what I mean by that is I was taught that a woman has to be one or the other. So my grandmother her husband died and she just hated men after that. It was a very bad relationship. And so every moment I spoke to my grandmother, it was all about how bad men were. Then I saw other women and so she was like her own dominant self. She did everything. Then I saw the other side where a woman was in a marriage, she was completely demure. So I was like, well, I have to choose. And then I realized, oh, you don't have to choose. This is just what you've been taught. what would being both look like? And so I was like, okay, I love being soft around my husband. I love being able to rely on him at home and being the leader. I love being a badass at work. How do I create both? And so it just came up with a system, and it really was how my jewelry, my hair and things became, because I was like, I was suiting up for work. I was suiting up to get hard. Like Wonder Woman puts on her cuffs, right? And then when Wonder Woman goes home, she puts her shield down, she like puts a whip, she takes off her jewelry and her cuffs, and she chills. So I go, it's a process. So there was about an hour and a half between work and personal time where I would do the process. I would tie my hair up. I would take my makeup off. I would put on soft fabric, made a difference to me. So I'd put on soft pajamas and I'd listen to soft music. And that allowed me to go from a badass at work to then when I got home to greeting my husband with open arms and being soft and cuddly.
I love that.
So we came up with a strategy, but you had just said it, is that a lot of couples end up breaking at that point.
Oh, yeah. So this is what we call the turning point conversation that you guys have had. There's 5 steps that I go through with couples when they go from the binary of insecurely attached, not building correctly, not aligned on vision, not aligned on anything. It's just 2 individuals living parallel lives, or one is collapsed into the other one, and it's not a safe structure either. And then growing across the binary into a secure, actual functioning relationship that runs more like a business. A marriage has always been a business structure and always will be. And if you don't run it that way, it's just a feeling structure, and then it's whose feelings are louder, right? So we have to run it as you guys have, like a business. CEO, COO, stay in our lanes. That's well done. There's 5 communication pieces that I have to teach most couples that you guys have gone through. I'm going to pull these out with you.
Yeah.
I want to hear where you guys rat as a demonstration for them. And I do want to say, I'm going to be hosting a retreat at the end of April. We're going to be going through these and teaching couples this and individuals on the spot. So these 5 are going to be there.
That's cool.
Number 1 is the turning point conversation. That's what you guys had. Actually, you guys have had a couple of them, it sounds like. You guys, and you need to readjust these periodically. You guys had the turning point conversation of, you're damaging the marriage, let's switch. And, hey, look, now you're damaging the marriage, let's switch. So that's really key. I love that. One thing I'm hearing, most men don't have those conversations until they're angry. And then they go into them angry. You went into them ready as a business. Like, okay, we're done. We're going to have this conversation.
Yeah. And I won't say that there weren't times where I was angry. It was that's not going to be a fruitful way to start this conversation. I heard something recently. It's really sort of rocked my world, which is that the human mind is not optimized for changing. So you're not optimized to change your mind. You're optimized to win arguments.
Ooh.
And I thought, whoa, that feels way too true. Certainly from how I interface with other people. Now, a long time ago, I realized that was very low utility.
Yep.
So I don't spend time there, or at least I try not to, even though, like anybody else, when I feel like I really won that argument, it feels awesome. Yeah. But that isn't how we interface with each other. So we're very careful. First person to admit their insecurities wins. And then can you want the other person to win, even when like you're in an argument? Because if you can, like there's a way to get to the other side of it. But anyway, there were plenty of times where before we had the conversation where something would happen and I would just be, this is so obnoxious. I would be like completely annoyed, but knowing that, okay, I need to figure out like, I need to translate the emotion into something I can articulate. And then when I go to articulate this needs to be something where I'm not bringing a ton of emotion. Otherwise, it's just going to blow up.
Okay. One thing I see from successful couples and unsuccessful couples is, again, the unsuccessful couples, the relationship is just the feelings we give each other moment to moment. So the relationship is an ever-present sensation that is good or bad, or good or bad, or good or bad, back and forth. So it's just the feelings. It's intangible. Healthy, successful couples, it's almost like we're crafting a third-party entity between us. That it's one metaphor I use is a fig tree. You plant a fig tree and we both water the fig tree and we care for the fig tree. If one of us is chopping it, we tell them, stop. Hey, that's feeding both of us. Don't do that. We're both going to die. And that's what it sounds like the two of you have had. When you say, that's not a productive approach, most people would say, well, it's my feelings, so I'm just going to roll with it. It sounds like you had a larger structure in mind from day one of what you guys were crafting together.
I got to be honest. I got to jump in. Sorry, to be honest. He's way better at it than I am. So I definitely fall into emotions and feelings.
Sure.
And one time he said, but you can't trust your feelings, got me very upset. And I was like, what are you saying? You're saying that my feelings aren't real. So I did the whole drama. I admit it. I slip into that sometimes. And so I'm just going to be honest. Now he knows that I every so often slip into it, but I've shown that I'm always trying to work at it.
Sure.
And so what I've said is, let me just have my feeling right now. Maybe I don't articulate it to you, or maybe I do and you just don't defend yourself. But like, I want to sometimes just feel it.
Yeah.
Let it dissipate. Once I let it dissipate, I'm able to then put words to it.
Great.
I am unable though to put words to it when I'm in it. And so we have just adapted and know each other so well that when he comes to me and says something, he's already been thinking about it for a month. When I come to him and talk about it, I'm processing in real time.
Yeah, that's how the female brain works.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So just understanding that has allowed us also not to judge each other and be like, I don't understand why he does that. And he's like, I don't understand why she does that. Like, we have acknowledged that that's how we're like. And then we just act in accordance. But yeah, obsessed with the female brain, read the book, The Female Brain. And it allowed me to understand my husband more and judge him less.
Absolutely. And the feelings are the feelings are useful data is what they are. It's sensory data. It will overwhelm the person who's feeling them at first. So you have to sort it out, calm it down. And usually that's processing and co-regulating. And then, okay, what does this data mean? Does it actually hold something that we need to focus on long-term? Was it a short-term blip? Does it matter? Is it telling us about the larger system? Is it telling us that the marriage is getting damaged long-term? Or is it just that you've had a bad day? What does this mean? So yeah, sensory data, it's important. Chief Operations Officer brings data to the CEO who interprets the data, and then you build a plan together and make it work.
I even bring my hormone data to him.
Great.
So I'm like, babe, it's this week that I'm coming on my period. So I feel really drained and I'm irritable. And so I'm sorry if I snapped it. Like, I would let him know where I am. So
100%.
he knows where I am emotionally, so that he's able to navigate it and I'm able to. Once I say it out loud, it also allows me to acknowledge it. So I'm like, okay, I'm irritable today. Oh, okay. Because I'm irritable. All right, well, I'm going to work to overcome my irritability.
Correct.
But at least he knows it.
And that's good business practice. Hey, my department's going to be a little slow. We got half the staff out with the flu and the budget's down. And this is okay. Hey, you know what? I appreciate that. Now I can factor that into the plans. That's what it needs to be, is that level. It should be non-sentimental. Marriage is a business. It happens to include elements of romance that can be nice, or it should, but it's a business first and foremost. We have to run it that way. If we don't, it will be unsuccessful and you'll both be miserable.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
Second conversation that couples have is care. You have to prove that you will care about each other beyond non-sentimental functioning as well. So it can't just be a business. It does need to be a bit more personal. I will care when you have feelings, right? I will care when you have needs. I will take you seriously is kind of the other word, right? You guys had that conversation at some point. What did that look like for you guys?
I'm obsessed with this idea that you're having a biological experience. So the thing with emotion. So for instance, females tend to be more emotionally driven or emotionally reactive than men. If you agree with me that the partnership between men and women is powerful, but everything comes at a cost, it's like, okay, this is part of the cost. And so me being mad at her for living a female experience would be nonsensical. Correct. So it's like, okay, I don't interface with the world like that. And I believe that emotions are a thing to push you in one direction or another from a decision standpoint. But beyond that, you have to be very careful, because they will lie to you about what's important. They will care completely not at all about your goals. And so you have to be very, very careful to be like, okay, I feel this really strong thing. Why do I feel it? Is it actually in line with my goals? Right. That kind of thing. So we try to interface like that to make sure that we don't get ourselves in trouble. But from a care perspective, I think you're 100% right that you need to let the other person know, okay, cool, I get where you're coming from. I'm not trying to invalidate your feelings, merely to point out that there's a risk to an emotion-led decision-making thing. And by the way, I get how weird I sound to you that I process the world like this. I
100%.
Sound like a robot. I understand.
He says that, so it's nice.
And we ended up having, this was during the part for her that was most frustrating in our marriage, where I was working 120 hours a week. only to come out the other side, just having done a Herculean task. It was like 8 months. It was insane. It's the thing in my life I am most proud of, like the fact that I couldn't be broken. I came out the other side of that going, wow, like I really can't be broken. This is incredible. And for her, it was like really problematic. And she was like, I want my husband back. So this is where I'm on the other side of this now. And she's like, I want my husband back. And so I'm full of all this pride. Like I did it. I've done the hardest thing I've ever had to do. Like, this is crazy. She's like, I want my husband back. I want my husband back. And I'm like, I don't know what that means.
Right.
And when I say I don't know what that means, I literally don't know what that means. I'm like, I need you to use other words because I'm really confused.
Yep.
And so we're talking and talking and talking. I'm like, trying to repeat it back to her. Okay, this is what I think you're saying. No, it's not what I'm saying. So I'm like, finally, I'm like, oh, you want me to broadcast and receive love?
Yes.
And she was like, yes. And I was like, got it. Got it. And when I sound like a robot, it does not feel like I am broadcasting or receiving love. Yes, that is correct. Okay, now I get it. This is an affectation layer. I'm like, I can process it in my robot brain. And now I can, because I know now I get what you're saying. I have gears, right? So I have robot gear. It serves me very well in some places.
100%.
It is not serving me well in my marriage.
Correct.
And to get through the brutal time, I had to live in robot gear.
Yes.
I'm unbreakable. I can't be stopped. I'm the Terminator. So now I get it. Cool. And then it was like, I could sort of re-find that gear.
Well, what you said to me is, I promise I will find my way back to you.
That was when I was like in,
but that made the difference because he recognized that we had fallen apart, really been pulled apart. And so imagine going back to evolution, it's like for him, he's like, I went out and I actually killed the tiger.
Correct.
Like I'm a beast. And he comes back, but he's got so much scarring emotionally from having attacked the tiger that he no longer feels because he's had to block it. That's how it felt.
Correct.
So I was like, I need my husband back. And when he said, I will find my way back to you, like, I promise I will. But he's like, it's going to take me time. That was the beautiful conversation that we had where I felt, okay, he's heard me. He understands what I mean. He's not pretending it's going to happen tomorrow. And now let me see his actions. And then he did, and you repeated and you worked on it to the point where you had understood the receive and transmit love. And then what we did is we put Post-its on our kitchen. So we're like, what's the place that we talk the most? It was the kitchen. So I put up like these 3 Post-its and you added 1. And so he's like, because when you talk, babe, you talk in feelings. And sometimes I don't know what you need.
Absolutely.
And I'm sure you've heard this 1,000 times, Adam, from women, that he just goes into fix it mode.
Correct.
And so we had these Post-its where it was hugged, helped. What was it? Hug, helped.
Hype is the one that I add.
You added hype. Heard.
Heard, yeah.
Heard. So I would be in my normal, like, okay, I've got to talk. And he's like, babe, 1 second. Which one do you need?
Yes.
And he'll literally stop me and point. And probably 9 out of 10, Adam, I had no idea which one I needed.
Yeah, correct.
And the fact that he asked me, because I gave him permission, hey, please make sure that you ask me, I was like, oh God. And I was like, all right, I need to be heard. Then I need you to hug me. And then tomorrow I need you to hype me. He's like, got it. So really coming from not really understanding where each other are coming from to then refining the language to the point where the other person actually understands, and not just understands, has a path to how to then get together again.
This is the reason that we don't take women on hunting parties. 20,000 years ago, when you go kill, because your oxytocin level as a man is supposed to drain, your GABA is supposed to go down, your cortisol goes up, it makes you care, you're on edge, you're sharp, you're alert. Vasopressin bonding between men does not decrease because of cortisol. It actually increases because you overcome it together. So you and I are supposed to go out there and be cold, ruthless Terminator robots out there and bond together because we were successful. We're not crying and hugging and sharing feelings out there. But then we come home and we do have to immerse again and get the oxytocin levels. We have to display them, especially because that creates emotional safety for a woman, that we are uniquely bonded. I'm not going to leave you in the middle of this. I'm not going to leave you with 8 kids and you're going to starve to death and the kids will all die. I'm going to actually bond it to you. But most women Most women don't track vasopressin bonding between the men and say, oh, yes, he sees me as a useful ally. No, it's, is he emotionally bonded to me the way I am to him? And most women don't have a traveling laboratory for a saliva swab of oxytocin level. So they look for romance, which is what they value. Even though women are practical creatures, they look for romance in men because it means he has high oxytocin. Does he touch me without sex, right? Does he want to hug me and kiss me? Does he share his feelings? All the things that men don't do pretty much any time. And especially don't do when we're in robot fix-it mode and we're trying to actually do something and achieve. So she's looking for that. Does he still want me emotionally and mentally, or is he going to leave me to die? Is basically what women are doing. It's a very...
That's how it felt.
It is. And it's
That's how
not
it
a good
felt.
metric because in that mode, he
I'm
is...
so seen right now.
Well, it's not. It's not. Yeah, it's not because his loyalty to you has never been stronger. But that's not tracking from a feminine perspective. It looks like his loyalty to you has never been weaker.
Right. And now imagine he's like, I feel like I should
Correct.
be lavished because I've just come home and killed
Correct.
a lion.
Correct.
And I'm responding in the opposite way.
Yes, correct. Right. He comes home wearing the lion with a mountain of meat, and you're like, yeah, but where's my poem? Where's my flowers? And that's that feeling of being able to track that. So using correct language out loud is absolutely crucial. Otherwise, we will misunderstand each other and destroy each other. So you guys developed the care and you built it. I love that. The third part of this process is the repair conversation. So you guys have had those, repairing the bond once it's been a little bit injured. What did that look like for you guys?
I would say being very specific.
Mm-hmm.
We are very specific with each other. It's like, what do you need and what does this look like? And one of the things that we have is we call it selfish desire time.
Nice.
And so every weekend we just sit there and we say, what's your selfish desire? You don't think about me. You think about only what you want and what's mine.
This is good.
And for a long time, even now you're very sweet and it often like weighs more on my time than him.
Mm-hmm.
But he was like, babe, like, we have to he didn't use I don't know if you use the word repair, but it's like, I'm here for you. What do you want to do? What's going to make you feel connected? What's going to make you feel bonded?
Mm-hmm.
And anything that I would come up with, he would be so cool with. It's like, babe, I want a carpet picnic for our anniversary. I didn't want to go out to a fancy restaurant. I legitimately just wanted to do a carpet picnic.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, all right, let's do a carpet picnic. So I felt like he was very willing to do the repair work and in a very soft way, the way that I could really receive it.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that was really important to me, where he would just keep asking, what do you want today? How are you going to feel connected? He would just give me some back rubs. He was like, hey babe, come and sit in between my legs and
Mm-hmm.
I want to give you a back rub.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, you just did that like 2 days ago. So it was that type of thing where I felt like he was very attentive towards my needs.
Nice.
And so I felt seen.
I love that.
What was yours?
I was going to ask, how has she repaired with you?
The only thing that I would say is ever recurring for me. So in a moment, you guys have kept saying the kill a lion. And I'm like, it's so funny how there's this little thing that still isn't quite understood about how I see myself.
Oh.
So it's obviously analogy to say that I killed the animal or whatever. But for me, what it really felt like, if we're going to stay in analogy, is I killed the men from the neighboring village who were coming to you
Mm-hmm.
and take everything in this village.
Mhm.
And that's how it felt in that period. I was under assault.
Mm-hmm.
The business was at risk and I had to like give it my everything to make sure that it survived.
Mm-hmm.
And when I do all of that and I come in and I am covered in blood, some is mine, some is the other enemy that I've just slayed, that had I lost, your whole life gets turned upside down. All I'm asking is to be recognized that I just put myself at complete risk and did this thing with no end in sight. And I fought all the way through it. And I want to be appreciated for it. I want you to be like wiping the blood off and being like, I get what you just did for us.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, it's one of those things, PSA for men, gentlemen, the hormones that women have make sitting in a sad emotion feel completely fine.
Mm-hmm.
They're sad, they're devastated,
Mm-hmm.
but they're not running to get out of that emotion. Whereas men are instantly, I'm not cool with this feeling, I got to get out of it immediately.
Solve the problem.
PSA for women. It feels mean not to solve things for you. So I feel like I'm being cruel to you, that you're like, I have this problem. And I'm like, word, I got you. I'm going to fix it for you. No worries. And you're like, don't do that. And I'm like, so you want me to sit here and feel mean? Like, this sucks. Okay, I'll do it. But like, to this day, even though I know it is not what you want, it feels mean. I feel like I am actively being mean to you by not giving you the solution. It's wild.
Oh, well, even when,
Wait, one more,
go
because
for it.
the last one is PSA to women. Understand, the man will break himself in half for you. He'll literally die for you if you're in a healthy relationship. But if you look at him and are like, but why didn't you?
Yeah.
If in that moment, you just go, let me wipe the blood off you. I see you. I get what you've just done for us. This is incredible. I'm beside myself with gratitude. Then he'll keep wanting to do that for you. Like there's a theory called the disposable male hypothesis. I think it's real. I think evolution looked at women and were like, you guys can only have one baby in a certain period of time. You guys are incredibly precious and we have to protect you at all costs. Men, one guy can father a lot of kids. Look at Genghis Khan. So you guys are disposable. And I'm perfectly willing to step into our marriage saying, I'm the disposable one. I'm the one that needs to be willing to lay his life down for you. But God damn, if I don't feel appreciated for it, then what the fuck? Forgive me, you can bleep it, whatever your audience deems acceptable. But it's like, that's how I felt coming out of that moment. And we had that conversation. I remember we were in the shower and she was like, what do you need from me? And I was like, I need to be appreciated. I need to feel like, even though I understand I put you in a position where you weren't getting what you needed, but I'm like, man, I need you to step outside of that frame of reference, because what I just went through the whole time, I was holding you in the center of my mind. The only reason I can stay this motivated, to work this hard, to take on this much risk, to deal with this much stress, is to protect you. And I know it is very weird because you're not asking me to do that. And you would rather have me at your side and you would rather live a smaller life.
Yeah, I've literally said that to him.
Yes. And I think it's universal. And women just need to understand. Just like women are very confusing to men, men are going to be very confusing to women. And if you don't meet the person where they are, because they are having a biologically grounded experience, I can't escape parsing the world like a man, feeling the things that I feel, wanting to do the things, like to be willing to fight and die for you. Like I can't escape it. It all feels so right. And so to live in accordance with my own morality and my sense of self and to earn my own respect, it's like, I've got to do those things. And nature has told me, put someone in the center of this so that you're doing it for them. It's the only thing that's going to give you enough energy to keep fighting. So it's going to be kids, going to be wife, going to be family, something. It's not going to be the self. So you're going to put someone there. And for me, for sure, it's just you. And so when I go do all of that for a protracted period of time and I can feel I am shortening my life because this is so hard and so stressful and all of that, I need to know that you're like, come here, I'm going to wipe the blood off. I'm going to sew up the wounds. And I am so grateful that you did that. That's it. For me, because I'm words of affirmation, like that's all I need. And then I'll go out and do it the next time and the next time and the next time. But when I do it and I'm met with, but I just want my husband back, it's like, it's devastating. And so then you have to do a lot of gymnastics to be like, okay, hold on. She's having a biological experience. This is very different from her perspective. So then I have to, in the midst of being emotionally traumatized that I'm not seen for everything I just did, I'm like, but fair, how many times have you done this to her where she feels completely unseen because you're stuck in your biology? And that's one thing I've always felt like, ooh, part of our secret sauce is at our most, like, I've been done wrong. Like, my husband has done me dirty. In those moments, you'll be like, does he still love me? I think he does. Because I believe he does, I'm going to try to see this from his perspective. It's always been that I've thought, that's our secret sauce. At my most, like, I'm over here, like, don't you realize what I just saved you from? I can be like, hold on. From her perspective, that's not what it looks like. It's not what it feels like. I need to be able to see it from where she's coming at, not approach this emotionally, lower my own defenses. It's hard.
I know for many of you, while you're listening to this sounds like an impossible sort of relationship to build. You're listening to the conversations they've been having, the way that they've been bonding and growing and just confronting challenges head on. For many of you, that sounds impossible. The problem there is that most of you have never learned the proper skills. Your family didn't teach you that growing up. You haven't lived it. You haven't felt it. So you probably can barely even believe it's possible. For all of you, I have the exact fix you've been waiting for. April 23rd to the 26th, down in San Diego, I'll be running an in-person training. I call it a retreat, but don't come prepared to relax and lounge on a beach. This is an intense training program for days down there with me and my certified coaches, where we will show you exactly how to have these core conversations that transform your relationship from broken and separated and cold and isolated into bonded, unified, and really thriving together as a couple. If you're ready to transform your relationship, or if you're an individual and you're not in a relationship yet, but you've always wanted to know how to build one, and you're ready to master those skills together in person and have your breakthrough, this is your invitation. Make sure you click the link down in the description or the show notes, or go to adamlanesmith.com and click on the retreat tab. We are ready to talk with you about how you can achieve your breakthrough together in person in San Diego. Don't delay. Tickets are selling out fast, and it's a very small, intimate gathering. I will not allow too many people in because I want to be able to work with you. Join us, and let's get back to the conversation. That is insanely hard. I love that you guys have that. Talking about it from a mechanical lens, a biological lens, a business lens makes everything make sense. The emotional side it can't. Men can't go there, and women can get it. If you're married to another woman, I guess it would work. Not even then, actually, the research shows it does. That works least of all.
It's even worse. Yeah, that's
right.
A hilarious stat.
But you have to be able to focus on this logically, and you guys have. One thing, and step number 4 that I work on with couples, but this is the big one. I'm curious on your take on this. I tell people this, and they don't always like this. So I'm curious about your guys' perspective. I tell people this: women don't commit to men. They just don't. They can't. Women do not commit to men. Women commit to a vision that a man presents them. And then she devotes herself to that man to co-create that vision together. The commitment can't and shouldn't be to the man. Unhealthy women will commit to a man and then run both of them into the ground. It's not meant to be that way. The vision is what matters. And it can be the vision of kids, of business, of something you craft, the tribe, something larger that the man is creating. And she connects to him because he's going to make it happen. And she works with him as the operations officer to co-facilitate that. That's what a healthy woman is supposed to do. I'd love to hear you guys' perspective on that.
That feels so true.
Right?
I've never thought of that before, but yeah. That
I'm
feels
so
very
curious,
true.
obviously being the only woman on set.
Go for it.
It felt very true when we were younger because he said, babe, we're going to make movies together. I got you. Like he asked my dad for his blessing to marry me. My dad said no. And so for him, it was like, look, I told your dad that I would, take care of you. I would protect you. And by God,
I told your dad I would make you wealthy.
Yeah, you did.
It was a very specific statement.
But I didn't necessarily care about wealth, but that was very
Sure.
important to you to feel like, look, I've got his daughter. So when we were getting married, the early days of our relationship, when he wasn't holding his end of the bargain of what he said he gave me permission to call him on it. So there was one little funny story. He's like, I want 6-pack abs. And so he's like, so I'm going to cut out sugar. I was like, great, go for it. And then every day he would complain that he had a headache because all he wants is one cookie and his headache will go away. So eventually I was like, you just got to make up your mind. You said you wanted 6-pack abs. If you eat that bloody cookie, you're not going to get 6-pack abs. But if you want the bloody cookie, eat the cookie, but stop complaining that you want 6-pack abs. He was like, oh, you got a point. So we kind of have that relationship where we say what we want and then we hold each other to that. So when he was saying he wanted to do this and that, I would just hold him to it. And I had the pride of being the woman that could be in his ear to encourage him to be the great man I knew he could be. Maybe it's a little different now because I feel like you've proven it, but for you've always got that next level. I just want to prove more. I want to prove more. I feel like he's proven it to me in the sense of his commitment to me, his loyalty, the ability to do the hard things, to protect me. So I don't hold to wealth. Like I feel like I'm committed to him now and not invested in who he's going to become in 10 years because we've been together for 25 years. I feel like you've accomplished the man you said you were going to become. I still encourage you to keep growing and being better. Like we never want to be stagnant. But I'm a little torn about what you said, because I feel like it was true in the first part of our relationship. I don't know if it's true in the second part.
So he's built the loyalty with you, though.
feel
He's
like
proven
he
it.
has.
That's
Yeah.
part of it. Let me see how fast I can destroy our marriage.
Let's try.
So here's what I think is real. If I got sick, got Alzheimer's, whatever, and couldn't work, she would be there, ride or die. I wouldn't think twice about it.
Real
Literally-
loyalty.
Yeah.
I'm
For
like
decade
changing
after
his
decade
diaper,
after
like,
decade.
No problem.
I've seen her do it to other family members. Like she just, if you're really in a bad spot, there's nobody you'd rather have in your corner.
And that's good moral character.
Agreed, which my wife has in spades.
100%.
If, on the other hand,
Yes.
I got lazy and was just like, and then things started going downhill for us and putting us in financial stress and becoming a problem, she would really, really be with me for a long time, pushing and poking and prodding and trying to like get me to respond. And I'm talking like she would give me a lot of leash, partly because I've earned it at this point, partly because she's just good like that. Even before I had earned anything, I never worried that she was with me, even when I wasn't successful. And by the way, like deep into our like engagement, I was laying in bed 4 to 5 hours a day, every day. And she had to like say something
During
at one point.
the day, not at night.
Because she had a job, I didn't. And she was like, you barely are up in time to make me a sandwich when I come home from work, which is like the only thing I've asked of you. Like, this is getting pretty rough. Even in that moment, it didn't feel like a threat. It was like, listen, this sucks. Like, come on, please. Like, and I thought what she's asking for is not only reasonable, I'm being unreasonable. Like, this is crazy. And so that like adjusted my behavior. So given all of that, I have no doubt that I would have a very long leash, but it would be so miserable to be with somebody that had given up, that was effectively throwing your life away. We've worked so hard to get where we are. If I started making decisions of apathy that were actually like causing hardship on the family, and she tried and just could not get me to correct course, at some point, like anybody with half a brain would be advising her, like, listen, at some point you've got to say, cool, I'm going to make sure that you step into the next phase of your life with whatever dignity you decide to take with you. Because my wife is not vindictive like that. So she would like, okay, here's your half, like, do your thing. I hope you're okay. If I called, she'd be like, if I can help, I will help. But she's not like dragging her to the bottom of the ocean is not the kind of thing that my wife would do if she just could not get me to turn it around. And by the way, that I think makes sense. Like if somebody is just determined that they're going to go down and they're not willing or able to get themselves going, they're not sick. This is somebody who is just, they've thrown their hands up and decided they're not going to play that game.
Well, also, if you did that, you're no longer the person that we developed together and that you'd become.
And that we promised each other we would be. So to me, that's completely reasonable.
The vision.
And anybody that can't see where that...
It's the vision and the passion. Like he's got so much passion. Like he's building a video game and he'll play and build the video game and he'll come to me and say, baby, it's so cool. And it's like, oh, tell me about the video game. Like I don't really...
Can I times you out for 1 second to give you the most props in the universe?
Oh, yeah.
She actually reacts like that. When I say there's no way she cares about this stuff, she will prompt me to talk about things that I'm like, I know she does not care about this. And she likes seeing me excited so much. It is so sweet. I'm like, you're doing this to yourself because I will talk about it. Anyway, I'm sorry.
But that's what I care about. I care that you have passion and joy towards something.
Yeah.
So if he was like, you know what, forget business. I no longer want to invest money. I no longer want to run a show. I'm just going to shut everything down. I would support him. I'm like, okay, cool. What are you going to do that's going to bring you joy and passion? I got you. Like, I'm behind you. If he gave up on striving for that, I think that would be difficult for me.
Yeah.
If you give up hope or you give up having a vision of what the future, how exciting the future can be, it no longer aligns with my values.
Right.
Like I want to, and I push myself daily to go, what type of life do you want? And what do you have to do to get it?
A woman's job, evolutionary psychology wise, and through all of human history, is to believe so much in the long-term vision that she is willing to old yeller her husband if she has to get the vision there, right? Because biologically you have to The next generation relies on you for that. The whole
That's
tribe
so
relies
wild,
on you
man.
for that.
I really think you're onto something with this.
It's
Like
real.
that is such an interesting way to explain it. I've always known that about my wife. The only thing I can't do is give up.
Correct.
And not give up on money, because in my wife's defense, we were worth about $2 million on paper. And
Before Quest.
Yeah, before Quest. And she was like, you're so unhappy. And she was like, I don't care if whatever decision is going to make you happy makes us poor. She's like, I don't care. And so I literally went in and quit. This was not like esoteric. I went in and quit, gave the equity back, and was like, guys, I'm moving to Greece, which is what we thought we were going to do. I'm moving to Greece to write a screenplay. And she was like, yep, if you're going to be happy and like feel alive again, she's like, I don't care.
Yeah.
So she's really earned her stripes. Now, obviously it didn't end up playing out that way, but it was because, using your language, which feels so appropriate, she had this very clear vision of a husband who was striving for something that he really believed in, who was passionate and alive, and it could lead somewhere, but that she was in a romance that had adventure and a spark and all of that. Like, if she has that, I think she would be ecstatic. Yes. But if she has a husband where the light has dimmed and he refuses to do anything to rekindle it, that's where I think she would struggle.
I hear that. I think you need to believe it's for something. That brings us right into point number 5, which is legacy. It all has to be for something. It doesn't have to be for children. Some people it's kids. Some people it's mentees and students that they raise and train. It's the next generation. Other people it's a cause they're supporting, or a demographic, or it's changing the world. It's building a library of information going forward. One of my targets that me and my wife are trying to build, apart from our kids, is the human race has forgotten how to love each other over the last 100 years. We've forgotten what biochemical loyalty is. We've forgotten how we're incentivized to work together in a tribal structure and actually care. We don't know how to have conversations together anymore. That love it's not even just taken for granted. It's taken that it won't exist anymore. Real, actual biochemical loyalty. I'm using love as shorthand for that. So we're building a library going forward so the human race can never forget biochemical love and incentivization ever again. Whatever star system we land in, or whatever catastrophe we run into, we will always remember because it's there forever. That's our target. And my wife is with me on that, because we have to build that. We have to craft that together. We don't want to be in the structure that we're in now ever again, or our descendants 1,000 years from now. We call it the 1,000-year legacy sort of view. And you guys, I believe, have that. I'd love to hear that. But that's what the woman's job is, to preserve a 1,000-year legacy. Her job is to outlive you by about 10 years usually, and pass on when they say, man, what would Tom do if he was here? I wish we could. She's right there like, I know what Tom would do. Let me tell you. And she transmits your legacy to the next generation of successors, or whoever that is that picks up that torch for the next 1,000 years. So the legacy that you guys are crafting, talk to me about that. What is the legacy that you guys are building together? I want to hear from the woman's perspective first.
Well, I'll say what I thought it was. It was going to be kids.
Okay.
I told him when we got married I wanted 4 children.
Okay.
And so I thought I was going to be, we were going to make movies before I had kids, and then I was going to have 4 kids, and then I was going to make movies in between. Didn't really kind of think about the logistics of anything, but I was like, okay, this is it. And then when we started Quest, I started to realize what I was capable of. I loved the growth. I loved the entrepreneurship. That was then, I started to question about kids. I'd never even asked myself if I wanted or didn't want kids. It was kind of just always assumed. And so one of the big things that when we were talking, I went to him and I was like, I don't know. And he was very supportive and we spoke about it, was the legacy. Because I was like, I was always thought that at least if we have kids, they will live on beyond us. And I had to then ask myself, what did legacy actually mean? Because people will throw it out, but they won't actually refine what it means to them and what that then can equate to. So for me, it was about doing something amazing and good that can then live on beyond me. And so that can be children, but also that can be the businesses that we grow and build. And so for me, starting Women of Impact really was that. It was my legacy where I have been through some hardship, not even half compared to a lot of other women. But if I can show up every single day and I can leave a breadcrumb behind where another woman can pick it up and feel better about herself and build her confidence and then never get into a toxic relationship ever and know that she can put one foot forward and build the life that she truly wants, that for me feels beautiful. So that was when I kind of went to Tom and I said, babe, I really want to start a podcast, but I was too embarrassed to get in front of the camera. So I said, I'm just going to do audio. And that's when he showed up for me and he was like, babe, you told me you wanted to help women. I was like, I do.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, how many women do you think you're going to help if you don't even have the confidence to get in front of a camera?
Mm-hmm.
The camera can reach millions of people. The audio may not. So he called me on my mission that I said, and I was like, you're right. I'm going to have to build my confidence to get in front of the camera. And so that for me was a big part of my evolution and then what I think of as legacy. And then also, secondly, I think it is to support my husband who has an even bigger vision of what the legacy looks like to him. And you can explain Kaizen and things like that.
Really quick, I want to jump in there because there's something I've never actually told you before is, so my wife gave birth to our most recent child 2 years ago. And when she did, she had a terrible hemorrhage. She's a natural redhead, terrible hemorrhage. And it was it was a couple of years after COVID, and they couldn't get the right medications at all. So they didn't have an anti-hemorrhaging medication for her. So she almost bled out. It was terrible, like in a modern hospital, right? She was afterwards so devastated, her body, the iron deficiencies, the shock, the trauma, everything, that her body just changed, and she actually absorbed and gained a lot of weight, which she had never done before. She was always doing bodybuilding. She was really intense into fitness. So she gained a lot of weight and was very, very bothered by it. And we started working with a fitness trainer at that time. And the fitness trainer said, you need protein. You need as much protein as you can get. You need clean foods, and you need to get back on track with that. It will take some time, but go back to focus on muscle. Don't focus on being skinny, muscle and power. And things she started eating, a tremendous amount of meat, right? Tremendous amount of like whey protein and Quest products.
Let's go.
Actually, so you guys, you didn't know it, but you were helping her. She dropped 67 pounds, rebuilt her body, massively powerful at this point. She could probably wrestle me through the ground at this point. If I had to sword fight her again, it would be a risk. But it's that just the Quest line has been so helpful for our entire family in that way. So thank you for that. That's a legacy thing though, right? That's there for people when they need that protein. They need help. They need health. It helped our family come back. So that's one piece of legacy for you
I
guys.
hadn't thought about that.
Right? But that's an impact in the next 1,000 years, however people remember Quest and all the products. But that's one element of your guys' legacy. Your legacy that you're crafting, the 1,000-year vision.
Well, I think about this, I think, quite differently than most people. So I think that legacy is a trick that evolution uses to keep you contributing to the group.
Okay.
And so I think it's a very good trick. But because of that, I'm not dogmatically focused on any one thing. When I was at Quest, I was focused on helping my mom and sister and as many people like them as humanly possible with their health. And that felt very meaningful. And now I'm focused entirely on teaching kids one core idea, which is if you put time and energy into getting better, you'll actually get better. But if I stop focusing on that, it'll be something else. And so for me, it's really recognizing that almost nobody is remembered long after they die.
Sure.
And so sort of faking yourself out and thinking that you will be or striving towards it meets an evolutionary need. So I get why people do it. I feel the same impulse to, ooh, I want something that lives beyond me. But then part of me laughs and goes, but you know that you're going to be forgotten like so quickly.
100%.
Even like, so being on camera is an absolutely hilarious thing. And I remind myself, you're only ever 3 weeks away from being completely anonymous. Now, the exact number is very different. I say 3 weeks because we were building a show at Quest, and when we exited Quest, we stopped. And so I'd gotten to the point where I was getting recognized whenever I would go out. And then 3 weeks after I stopped doing the show, it was crickets. Nobody would come up to me. And I was like, wow, that happened really fast. And so I was like, this is a very potent lesson that whatever that need is, it's happening in my head. It's not real in the real world. They'll move on instantly. I just happen to be in their YouTube algorithm. And the second I'm not, they'll forget that I exist. So I was like, okay, that's good to remember. So you want to do something. The way that I explain it to people is think about earning your own respect, and contributing to the group is going to, for most people, going to line up with your value system. So it's going to feel really good that you're doing something other people feel like, hey, this is really positive in my life. But at the end of the day, you also want to be pursuing something that you would enjoy even in failure. And I am very grateful to whatever is the power that has created this universe, written our code, however you want to think about it, that the act of telling stories, creating worlds, is so deeply neurochemically fulfilling in the moment that while I'm doing, literally before we started filming, I was adding assets into the video game. And the mere act of, 9 seconds ago, this asset didn't exist in my world and now it does. I just can't tell you how like much I love that. And that's the very thing. Like she'll be like, ooh, what assets did you add? And I'm like, okay, I know she doesn't care, but it is such a sweet gesture because it allows me to sit in that neurochemistry of like, I'm building a world, like this feels really good. So I get the game. It's a game of neurochemistry. We're all trying to manipulate our neurochemistry. Legacy is a very potent way to be like, oh my God, this might live beyond me. But I think that trick maybe doesn't work as well on me as some other tricks. So I don't spend a lot of time fantasizing that something will live beyond me. I don't even fantasize about getting into old age and being remembered. I think my gut instinct is that my later years, I will be completely anonymous and I'll be doing things that the act of creation itself is the thing, and remembering, just psychotically focusing on the reason my life works is because I'm nested in a marriage and a broader family that give me that sense of connection and that I'm doing something for something beyond myself, which is really powerful. I maybe have too realistic a view of legacy and being remembered, or even that my contributions will live on. Like when I think about even the things that, so Tony Robbins had a huge impact on me, but Jim Rohn to me is just like a guy that Tony talks about. So if Jim Rohn were hoping that he would be remembered, for a long time, it's like that decline is so rapid. The fact that kids now, their kids, they don't know who Michael Jackson is. And it's like, how can you not know? That's insane. So I will be forgotten, as we will all be forgotten. And I'm okay with that.
I actually like this because I have much the same view with legacy. Whenever I go to events and my name's up there in lights or anything, my business partner always like, does it feel good to have your name up in lights? I go, no, they put every name up in lights at some point. It's like, I don't care if my great grandkids actually know my name. I don't care. It's back to survival and prosperity of tribe. Like 1,000 years from now, I want the human race to know how to love each other. I don't care if they know I was the one that put that library together. I want them to be okay. I want families to be thriving. If they get screwed up again, I want them to uncover it and say, oh, what is this? And YouTube videos or whatever, someone else wrote it. I don't care. But survival and prosperity of tribe is really all that matters to me. I agree with you. I think on a long enough timeline, very few names are remembered. Very few names. We all want to be, what's that? The Kong family, with descended from Confucius, 2,500 years. There's 1.7 million members, and they all trace back to Confucius and his house as their UNESCO heritage site. I think that's great. That's not what I'm aiming for at all. I almost want them to forget me, because I want them to take for granted the love and the intimacy that they share, the bonding they share, the bio-loyalty that they share. I don't want it to be, well, we have to do this because our grandfather made us. I want it to be, man, we're winning together. Isn't this awesome? We've always done this, right? Let's just always remember we do it. The urgency, I think, needs to be there. But the name, I'm with you.
I've got a question for you, Adam. Do you think that legacy, sometimes people thinking they need it, keeps couples together and having kids when they actually are better off apart?
Oh man, that's a good question. I think that the couples who are together only for the children are doing everything completely wrong. Everything. Because if you're destroying your kids by making them watch your horrifying marriage and you're ruining it, number one, what are you doing? What are you doing to those children? They're gonna run from marriage at that point. I think the research is pretty clear that in a horrible situation, kids do much, much, much worse. It's not just the marriage itself that makes kids do well. But I don't think that it's an option between live in a terrible marriage or destroy the marriage and leave. I really think every human being needs to take whatever responsibilities they have. If it's children or a business or anything else, take your responsibilities seriously. Fix the marriage, fix the business, fix wherever you are, fix it. And if you're not the kind of person that fixes it, get out of the way so someone else can fix it and make things right. It's realistic. I think the future belongs to those who bother to show up. And if you're not going to bother to show up, then get out of the way for people who are going to show up. That's what I think. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
How about you?
I mean, to your point, I think couples do stay together for multiple reasons, but it's I think something like legacy, it's so drummed into us, at least for me, since childbirth, that it didn't even occur to me to ask myself what legacy meant to me until I started to think about, do I actually want kids or not?
Yeah.
And so many people will throw certain words at a marriage and they'll think that they have to strive for that. And so they'll stay in the marriage even when it's unhealthy.
If the business has gone bankrupt, then you guys need to be honest that it's bankrupt.
Yeah.
You can sometimes revitalize it from bankruptcy if you both want to. That's why I have my 5 steps, right? No one starts off in a perfect marriage. You got to build it. Sometimes you got to rebuild it 3 times, 5 times, but staying in it and just saying, well, it's going to do its job while we're in the red constantly and going bankrupt and everything is destroyed. That's not doing the job. Marriage exists for a reason. It's not for the feelings. It's not to feel good. It's not even to just get your kids to 18 and then boot them out the door. You have a much larger purpose than that, right? If you're going to have a marriage and raise children or have students or business or anything else, the business is not served if all of the executives wish they were dead. If all the executives say, this is the worst company I've ever seen, I hate it, you're not going to have a good company. The well-being of each executive is absolutely fundamental to the success of the long-term company. When you came in and said, you're destroying our marriage, we need to scale back or we need to fix this, that was sensory data. That was you saying, we're about to go bankrupt. Something bad is going to happen to us. And that was you listening, going, okay, makes sense. Long-term, I'm going to wreck what we're doing. I'm going to listen to those emotions. Good data. Let's course correct. That was you guys doing that. Executives, you don't want broken people at the top because they make broken choices. Does that track?
Powerful, yeah.
Guys, thank you so much for letting me dissect your marriage. It sounds incredible. It's been hearing her talk about it is incredible. Watching that woman glow about her husband.
Yeah.
I expected you to be like 50 feet taller, right? Like the way she talks about you. It's incredible. So the loyalty and the love that you guys have built, the vasopressin, the oxytocin, everything that you guys have built is so right. I absolutely love it. Thank you for letting us dissect you and letting everybody online see what an actual loving marriage is supposed to look like. We don't get to see that very often.
Thanks for having us on.
And one thing I hope we've really echoed is that there's no perfect marriage, and it's never been perfect. And for us, it really has been the willingness to do the hard work to get to the other side every time we find a bump or, in the road. And so there's been many bumps in our 25 years, but we know that we're willing to do the work. So I think we just keep always coming back together. Thanks for having us on, Adam.
Yeah, no kidding.
Thank you. Thank you. Everybody at home, make sure that you understand why a marriage exists. Don't get into a relationship for feelings. Don't stay in it for feelings. Don't try to use the feelings to make it better. Build for a purpose, build for a reason. The first thing you have to do is ask, why are we even together? And are we better served together or better served not together? The vision and the legacy, I think, is everything, really, what you're trying to build. Tell us all the places we can find you and what you guys want people to know about you. I mean, if they just search your name, 10 billion things come up, obviously. But what are you wanting to highlight here today that people need to hear about more than anything?
Inaga?
And that's Greek for wife, by the way. He calls me that. So I would say, I'm going to push the Women of Impact, my show that you have been on, Adam. Twice. So yeah, that's where I pour my heart and soul and where I'm building my legacy, if you will. 100%. So Women of Impact on podcast and YouTube.
My favorite thing about that is it teaches women to be strong and feminine without saying that they have to pit themselves against men. It is really building wives that are powerful and can go with real powerful men as well. It's a good message this world needs. We've forgotten that. Tom?
You can follow me at your own risk at Tom Bilyeu. YouTube is my primary channel, but be forewarned, I talk politics, economics, world affairs. Lisa's audience is routinely traumatized by encountering me in the wild. So beware.
It is. I love it. It's a lot like a caveman who has been dressed up to look appropriate for modern living, but in a good way. I mean that in the best way, because we need people having real, honest, brutal conversations the way that you do.
Look, my thing is I don't play team ball. I just try to map the world from cause and effect, but boy, does it rub some people the wrong way. I
will admit, I started watching your stuff ways back, and I was watching it going, which side is he on? Who does he support? And then it occurred to me, like, this guy is on the side of truth. He will just call out whoever is being dishonest at the time. And I love that about you.
Yeah, some people do, Adam.
Some people
do.
should. More
Yeah.
people should. I love that. All right. Thank you, everybody, for being here. You know me. I'm Adam Lane Smith, the attachment specialist. If we've traumatized you, leave a comment and let us know. The hate mail can come straight to us. I love that. I love reading it, and I love the disagreement. So I will see you on the next episode.